Hi, did you know that sometimes God does weird things? As we listen to the story of Joshua at the Battle of Jericho, listen how they were able to win this fight.
Joshua was a good man. He loved God and always tried to obey him. Joshua trusted God completely and believed that God could do anything. He knew if he obeyed God, that God would always take care of him. Because Joshua was a good man, God made him a great leader. God asked Joshua to take his people to a new land that God had promised them. This land had wonderful fruit and sweet honey. Joshua and God's people had been traveling for a very long time. They were almost to the promised land. All of God's people were outside of a beautiful city named Jericho, but they could not go in. There was a big wall around the city. The wall was as big as a tall building. The people didn't know what to do. They didn't know how they would get past this great big wall. An angel told Joshua, "March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have all the people give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse and the people will go up, every person straight in." What did God say do? Yes, march around the city. God said to march around the city once a day for 6 days and be completely quiet. They were not to say anything at all. Then God said, on the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, and on the last time around, blow your trumpets really loud and shout. Joshua and the people did exactly what God said. While they marched, everyone was silent. No one spoke a word. All that could be heard was the sound of the horns and the marching feet. As the Israelites approached Jericho, they saw that the city gates were tightly closed. They knew that the people of Jericho were watching. They looked out of their windows at the top of the wall. When the priests rested their trumpets a few minutes, priests hold trumpets by their sides, the only sound was the tramp of hundreds of feet. The parade marched all the way around Jericho. Then the silent Israelites marched back to camp. The next day, the same parade left the Israelite camp. The parade begins again. Well, the people obeyed God. And guess what happened the 7th time they marched around the wall on the 7th day? The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. God's people went straight into the city. Joshua and God's people did exactly what God said to do, and God made the wall fall down. Our God is very powerful.
Wow, isn't that amazing? They didn't use a sword, they didn't use a gun, nothing, and they still won. Why? Because they obeyed God. Guess what? When you obey God, you will always win. because God is who we really need on our side. So what is obeying God? It means obeying your parents. It means obeying your teachers. It means obeying your pastor. It means doing your very best to do all you can to please God. Matter of fact, that's our cheer. And it's going to be very simple today. The simple cheer is, with God, we always, and you're going to say, win. And you got to say with a lot of energy, with God, we always, and you're going to say, win. Are you ready? Let's try it. With God, we always. Let's try it again. With God, we always. And remember that. With God, we always win. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye.